Okay. Well, this is an aerial view of the natural resources building where the insect collection is actually housed. And there's a lot of history behind where the collection's been and where it came from. And there's been a lot of location changes throughout Illinois, getting it to where it is today. That might not work. All right. So the beginning of the collection started in 1858, and kind of. That's whenever the Natural History Society of Illinois was established. Here you can see the membership card there. They don't make these anymore, I guess. But now we've in 1860, Benjamin D. Walsh actually brought in some of the first insects there from his collection, and by 1861 we had 60,000 specimens. Unfortunately, in the Great Chicago Fire, a lot of these specimens were moved to Chicago for safekeeping, but in 1871, the Great Chicago Fire wiped out most of them, except for a few that another one of the state entomologists actually pulled out for his personal reference, and some of those exist in the collection today. Okay. This kind of just shows some of the building changes we've had. Back here in 1858, that's the building in Normal, Illinois. And from there, it was moved onto the campus here. But this is here at the Natural History Building. And then we've got up there is where we're at today. Okay? And it changed from the State Laboratory of Natural History to the Illinois Natural History Survey in 1917, and that's where we are today with our name. We were recently integrated with the university, I believe, about 3 years ago. But before then, it was a state-operated outfit. Now, early in the history of the INHS, the first thing that happened was there were 4 state entomologists that were appointed here. The first one being Benjamin D. Walsh. He's the one who, these were all the guys involved in establishing the Natural History Survey of Illinois, and from there establishing the collection. Now, Benjamin D. Walsh was the first there, and he served for 3 years until William LeBaron. And LeBaron is the one who actually pulled some of the insects out of Walsh, the main collection, before it actually burned. And so those are the ones that still exist. And Cyrus Thomas there in 1875. And then our final state entomologist was Stephen A. Forbes, and he was a revolutionary in the INHS history. And he actually served as the state entomologist up until his death. So in 1940 is when he, 1940 is when he died. And up until then, he served then, and as we'll see on the next slide, he actually ended up taking on 2 roles as the chief director of the INHS when it became the INHS. Now, the expansion era is kind of this time whenever there were a lot of collecting going on, a lot of focused curatorial appointments beginning to kind of really establish and circumscribe the Illinois fauna so it could be of use to agriculture, for education, and really just to be a public service there. And there was a lot of work put into that. Charles Hart was the first focus named curator in 1903, and he worked on true bugs. J.R. Malik worked in Diptera. Here you can see Charles Hart there on one of their field expeditions at the Havana Field Station, which isn't far out of town here along the Thompson Lake. And at this point, they had 20,000 pin specimens, about 10,000 vials. And this was all under the rule of Forbes. And he, if anybody came to the mixer last night, you saw the big photos of him there. He's been an influential man in the collection. Now, in the next era here, we've got this is where everything was kind of split up. We had the Illinois Natural History Survey bulletins that were really pushing the large treatment of the Illinois taxa. It started, a lot of the focus has been on Plecoptera, Megaloptera, and here. So Trichoptera was really treated well as well. Some of the other ones that were treated by visiting entomologists were aphids, plant bugs, and leafhoppers. And all of this, there was a high volume of publications coming out during this period. This was under Theodore Frison and Herbert Ross. And here I've got just some of our vial collection, which is extensive in the collection there. Here we've got Herbert Ross collecting in 1935. This is Milton Sanderson and Lewis Stannard here identifying some insects on those old microscopes there. Now, Milton Sanderson actually did a lot of collecting in the Caribbean, and he was a beetle guy, as we'll see. Now, to bring us up more to the present, we've got the era of globalization. This was all begun underneath Hubert Ross and Milton Sanderson. Milton Sanderson actually went down and really did a great survey of the Caribbean islands, largely Hispaniola. And then he also brought back a lot of unprocessed Dominican amber that still remains available to be processed today. And then more recently, with Don Webb has really covered the Diptera. Michael Irwin has brought in a lot of Diptera, and then Chris Dietrich here with his world studies has brought in insects from around the world, Homoptera, Alcanoica being the focus. So here are some of our strong points here, and some of our strong taxa that are globally represented. Columbella, there's a huge slide collection and bio collection of Columbella. Coleoptera is massive, and from my experience, as far as I've been in here, we've got one of the best leafhoppers collections around, and that it goes without saying in any case. And here we've got some of the West Indian beetles. This is Milton Sanderson's collection there, and this is some of the amber that still remains to be processed, and there's some butterflies from Ecuador that actually this was, I believe, a recent accession here, but our strongest points are some of the largest orders. Now, efforts to digitize the collection have, they began in the 1990s to get a specimen level electronic database started. Now, there have been several NSF-funded projects to digitize the label data. One of the first ones that was done here was of alcohol specimens. And so we're talking mayflies and stoneflies and caddisflies here. All of these were scanned, and the data was retrieved and actually placed onto an online database through the website, and also now it's linked through to a GBIF portal. Hymenoptera came along after, and so we've actually, all of Hymenoptera has been, the labels have been digitized, and there's a great resource there online. Also, there's been other little projects, the Central Asian grassland fauna here spearheaded by Chris Dietrich and micro leafhoppers. So there's a revisionary study done, and now all of that has been plugged into the online database and is available. Today we've got about 650,000 records online, which represents about 1.6 million specimens. The number change there is that there's only entered once for alcohol vials that have multiple specimens. Here's a snapshot from the GBIF website showing our representation worldwide. Now this is just what's digitized. There's a lot more going on here and there now, and also in South America. But this is from what we've got digitized. This is what we're representing here. Good coverage of the Nearctic region, and as you can see, of course, we've got Illinois is blazing orange. This is some of the. This is our database that you can access from the website, and it's pretty easy to use. Comes up, and it was developed here by Dimitri. Now, invertnet, of course, is what we're all here for. Now, this is where we're at in the collection right now is getting everything prepared for this large-scale digitization, and that involves getting all of our unit trays labeled with species information, and then putting that into the database. So that'll make all of this much easier whenever we're starting to photograph the drawers. Some of our outreach has the most recent outreach event that we've had was the Institute Expo here. That's where a bunch of the community's kids come out and they play with bugs, and we show them all sorts of things. And there's lots of screaming and squealing, and it's always a lot of fun. And then we've got the Illinois Wilds Institute for Nature courses that the survey has participated in. And the Traveling Science Center, which I'll show you so you can see what it is. It's on this next slide. It's a big bus, a trailer that goes around. It's got lots of cool exhibits and little experiential learning exhibits in it. Kids go nuts for it. I've yet to be in it and I'm dying to go in. But this is really a great thing, and it's actually quite famous. I have a lot of people outside of the INHS and a lot of people just that I've met around town that know about the Traveling Science Center. So I think that's definitely a strong point of our outreach initiative. This is a picture from our latest outreach event at the expo there. As you can see, it was quite crowded. And this is actually a photo from 1987 and Don Webb teaching some school kids about bugs in the collection there. Photo credits there. And I'm going to pass this off to Chris Taylor to discuss the crustaceans.